Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel. Today I am sharing my review of David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. And there's so much to say about this wonderful, fantastic story that I didn't know really how to go about it without being way too long. So I thought I would just give 5 reasons why I think you should read David Copperfield as well. Now, before I forget, happy Victober. If you're watching this on the day that I post the video, it is October 1st. Well, technically it's not October 1st. It is September 28th. But I finished this book, David Copperfield, just a few days ago, and I thought it was the perfect way to kickstart Victober. So happy Victober to you. And yes, I will be posting this on the first day of our Victober celebration. And I hope that you have a wonderful Victober. So let's get back to David Copperfield. Now, I loved this story, obviously. I have been doing nothing at my house but talking about David Copperfield, and my husband's tired of hearing about David Copperfield. But it was such a fantastic read. It was such an adventure. I found myself just thinking about the story throughout the day at random times. You know, you're going out and you're doing things, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about a character and wondering what's going to happen. That's a fantastic story, and they're few and far between for me. I mean, I can get invested in a story, but not like I did with this one. This was just an amazing read, and I'm so thankful that I read it this past September. So, 5 reasons that I think you should read it as well. And I made some notes so that I won't just ramble on and on. Number 1, remarkable characters. This book is filled with extraordinary characters. They're well-rounded and surprising. There's Peggotty, who is wonderful. Tommy Traddles. The Micawbers are great. Dora. Let me tell you about Dora. Well, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but Dora, I found to be annoying to begin with, but then I fell in love with Dora. And if you read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to spoil anything. Agnes is wonderful. Betsy Trotwood. Betsy Trotwood is the best character ever. She is eccentric and stubborn and, again, surprising and loving. Betsy Trotwood's probably my favorite character, but this book is full of wonderful, unforgettable characters. I feel like I know these people. So, unforgettable characters, remarkable characters is the first reason why you should read David Copperfield. Number 2, the enrichment of life through relationships. What I mean is this story, I think the most heartwarming thing about this story is the relationships that David had throughout his life. And it's done in a unique way in this story, very interesting way. David, has his relations, his family members, and then his friends that he meets, and he'll be with those friends, and then later on he'll meet those friends again, that kind of thing. Well, through it, they become sort of this makeshift sort of family. And it's interesting because there's several examples in this story of sort of broken families, non-traditional families, like single parenting, for instance. There's several examples of single parenting in this story. But what happens throughout the story is these characters become this sort of makeshift family with David as the hub, the center of that family. And they just are better together. I'll just say that. They're better together. And it just is the most wonderful thing about this story. It's just heartwarming part of this story. I mean, forget the Christmas Carol at Christmas. Read this at Christmas. And God bless us everyone by the end. It is just that heartwarming. No, still read Christmas Carol. I love Christmas Carol. Not knocking Christmas Carol. Number 3, there isn't a sag in this story at all. From beginning to end, the pacing is perfect. I was amazed at no sagging. No, you know how you'll read a book and you get to the middle and it's kind of gets boring and it's like, okay, let's get on with it already. But it's like they have all these subplots that they've got to pull in and bring that person back to do whatever. I don't know what they're trying to do. But there are plenty of subplots in this story, but I never felt any of that. I cared about every subplot, every part of this story. The pacing is just magnificent. From the very first page to the end, you are captured and in the story. And even the beginning, you know, a lot of times in a beginning, you kind of have to give a few paragraphs to kind of get in. From the very first sentence, you're in this story. The pacing is perfect. So no sagging middle in this story. No sagging. Number 4, interesting themes. Now, this is about 900 pages, or my copy is, so there should be some themes in this story, of course. And a lot of the themes that you would think would be in a Charles Dickens story, like social classes. That's in here. Great job on that. But something that surprised me was marriage. There's a lot of talk about marriage in this story that I was not expecting. And the way that was handled was wonderful. I really loved marriage discussed in the story. Love, the main theme I think throughout is hard work and perseverance. That was handled well. Generosity, again, family, I've already talked about that. That was a unique perspective, I think, on what makes a family, because I saw that a lot in this story. So interesting themes is another reason to read this story. And then number 5, the 5th reason you should read David Copperfield is total immersion. If you want to be immersed in a story, well, I've got one for you, David Copperfield. I have never been so taken by a story, so drawn into a story. The one thing I think that made that happen for me, first of all, it's in first person, so that probably had a lot to do with it too. But the way that he describes settings is its own character. And I know that you hear of that in other stories, but in this story in particular, like for instance, there's this boathouse that he goes to. And when he first goes to the boathouse, you feel like David. You know, it's new. He's really taken. He's like a little kid. He's going to stay in this boathouse. It was fascinating. But then it becomes familiar. And as he revisits, you feel that familiarity. It's just an amazing way. Every time he goes to one of the places that he's been before, it evokes these emotions in you. And I was amazed at how Charles Dickens was able to do that, because place is so important in a story. And this is a great example of how setting can become its own character. So if you want an example of that, this is one for you. So those are the reasons that I loved David Copperfield. It was just a wonderful journey. I laugh and cry at books. But this was a laugh out loud kind of book and a sobbing kind of book. I mean, there was a couple of times I was sobbing over this story. And there was even one time I felt like I needed to write a letter of apology to a character. I felt so bad because I had assumed things about this character. And then there's this scene, oh my goodness, I thought, I'm so sorry. I misjudged you. Anyway, total immersion, what an experience, great characters. If you have not read David Copperfield, I strongly recommend David Copperfield. And, you know, if you're not planning on reading it for Victober, that's okay. Read it in November or December, because you won't be disappointed. It's such a great one. A 5-star, all-time favorite for me. So, happy Victober. What are you reading for Victober? And if you know of another Charles Dickens that you absolutely love as much as I love David Copperfield, leave a comment to let me know, because I want to know. I am totally investing in Charles Dickens over the next year. I am going to read his whole catalog if I can, because I just fell in love with this story. And I have read this and Great Expectations. That's the only novels. And then, of course, I've read the short stories, the Christmas short stories. So which one should I pick up next? Let me know that. And thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.